This is going to be a comparison of 5 different Yamaha surround sound receivers. We want to depict for you what the different features and specifications that are available in the Yamaha brand when you compare 5 different receivers, starting with their entry level, going up to one of their mid-range receivers. Now, as we scroll down this comparison list, the first item we see is the manufacturer's suggested retail price. The next item that they note is the brief highlights of what sets this unit out from the next unit down, or what the next unit up will allow you to do that another unit might not allow you to do. And Yamaha is a very feature-rich, high-quality surround sound receiver manufacturer, and you really want to get an idea of what you're trying to accomplish when you're selecting which of these particular 5 receivers you want to use in your setup. Essentially, and very generally speaking, from our opinion, they're all very, very similar. However, one unit might have a feature that you are looking for and need, whereas a lesser unit, a less costly unit, it does not have. So we're going to start to take a look here. Yamaha has put in a image comparison from the more entry units up to the higher end units. And what separates this one entry unit from these other 4? This is not a network unit. In other words, you cannot connect this to the internet, and it does not have Apple's proprietary AirPlay feature, which allows you to mirror content, mostly audio content, wirelessly to your receiver. So this entry unit is lacking that network streaming online audio content that these other 4 are featuring. So if you don't care about, Apple AirPlay, and you don't care about network, you just want a surround sound receiver, I'd be taking a pretty hard look at this one right here, because as we go down, you're going to see all of the features and specifications. They're pretty comparable regardless of the price point of the receiver. Now, on this particular line item titled channel, it lists 7.2 at the higher end down to 5.1. Now, if you're familiar with that, just skip forward in the video. If you're not familiar with it, this is a 5 speaker, 1 subwoofer setup. This is a 7 speaker, 2 subwoofer setup. Most of the audio tracks today are in 5.1, and 5.1 is going to give you a really great, rich experience in surround sound, and you're going to be just fine with this. But if you're looking for something that outputs, to 7.1 or 7.2, you might want to look at a little higher end receiver right here. Now, their rated outputs, they're all very comparable. Their wattage outputs, they're all very comparable. And the way wattage to volume works is the the more volume you want, the exponentially more wattage you require. It's not a straight line relationship. It's just incrementally more watts as you increase in volume. So all of these receivers are going to give really great volume. It depends on how big your room is and how loud you like to listen to things. There is a volume that's uncomfortable. Now, as we continue to scroll down, you'll notice that the word yes is listed in most line features as we continue down. And at any time, if you want to pause this video and take a closer look at a certain feature, you can. Some of the audio processing might not be available, like the Dolby Pro Logic 2 in the lower end units, but the receiver is going to switch to a different processing technique, and you're probably not going to notice it unless you're specifically looking for Dolby Pro Logic 2. Again, all yeses all the way across the board. Um, mentioned the biamp capability. We're going to take a look at that. Now, 4K pass-through, 4K, if you haven't heard about it, it's a advanced television technology that's come onto the market, and it's pretty expensive. And the reality is that the resolution is about 4 times that of a 1080p television. But again, in order to enjoy that, you have to have some content that actually is produced and available in 4K. So it's only the little bit higher units that pass that through. So if you think you're going to become a 4K customer, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, and you're ready to plop down $5,000, $10,000 for a TV, then you might want to look at one of these higher end receivers. Also, here is a listing of the HDMI inputs. If you have a lot of electronics with HDMI and you need some extras, you might want to go with a higher end unit. But if 4 sounds like a good number of inputs for you, some of the more entry models are going to be okay for you as well. And again, you'll see across the board, generally they're all very comparable. And here's one thing that's interesting on this more higher end unit. It has 7 channels of pre-out, and I think that's interesting because if you want to RCA out, your front center speaker to a sound bar under your TV because you want to keep a clean installation, you can do that. But generally, most receivers that are in the middle consumer market, their pre-outs are just for subwoofers because the subwoofers have a built-in amplifier, so it's a pre-out signal to that. We're going to continue to scroll down here. You'll notice I mentioned earlier that there's no network or no Apple capability with this entry-level unit, and they reconfirm that down here for us. And there are some of the weights and dimensions. They're all fairly comparable in weight. Now, if you are interested in zones, you might want to take a closer look at this section right here titled Zone Control. So these 3 units here that are on the entry side don't have a Zone 2 option, whereas these 2 units that are on the little bit higher end side do have a Zone 2 option. And Zone 2 basically allows you to have speakers in another room or out on a back patio or something to that effect. Now, usually the Zone 2 is what's called a line level output, and that means there's no amplification. So you would have to connect that Zone 2 to a separate amplifier to power those speakers in that zone. Sometimes you can get a powered Zone 2, which Yamaha has a powered Zone 2 on one of its higher end receivers. But that's not within the realm of this scenario right here. You don't need a powered Zone 2. If you really know what you're doing, you can get a powered Zone 2, but that kind of limits you as well. It's probably better to have a line level Zone 2, go to a separate amplifier. We have videos on our channel regarding this, how we take a Zone 2 out to a separate amplifier and power speakers throughout the house. Do a search on the channel for that. And that pretty much wraps up the comparison. We're going to have available for you reviews on each of these units so you can look at them a little more closely if that's what you want to do. There's a subscribe button right up here. Please subscribe to our channel. Please visit our website because we have articles on just all kinds of other home electronics, not just surround sound, but computer networking, tablets, TVs, structured wiring, whole home audio, intercom, things to that effect. Thanks for watching, and we hope you have a great day.